I like your version too.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good to have you back. Feels good to be back. Don't mind my voice. Luckily, I don't have to talk too much today. Anyway, I'm to let everybody know I'm feeling much better than I was last week. So we're going to carry on, and we're going to get into this pretty quick. I'm going to let Steve do the rundown. Can you see the chat, Steve?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, you're going through.
Why don't you do the rundown real quick, and I'm going to go ahead and go into the video.
Okay.
While you're doing that. Well, no, I won't be able to do that because you won't be able to see.
Claude's going through puberty. Okay, we got John. Good morning, DS Multimedia. With Mark Pruitt, John Tanzillo, Hot Dog Pilot Andy. Hi, H&H Express, Wigwag, Stephen, Rob T-Man, John Tanzillo. My buddy Bernard. Good morning, Bernard. Good morning. Gerald Stewart, who we got? We got Evo Zon. Welcome back. Gail. She's stalking us. Good morning, Gail. Did I say Stephen? Anyway, Wigwag. Okay, that's it. We're good.
Hey, Bill.
And Bill snuck in on us. Sorry, Bill, I didn't see you.
Bill, that's okay. I joined like 2 minutes before the show started. I just rolled out of bed. I was at work and I just got back into the house after a week of travel for like at 3 o'clock this morning. So I'm tired.
We were taking.
Well, glad you're back.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to jump right into this, guys. This is the second half of the video that Steve shot. And no, didn't want that. I get the right thing done here.
We got Elmore popped in. Good morning, Al. And Steve Childers. Good morning. Welcome to the show. And Lee Anfield Road in the Law.
There it is. Okay, everybody got that okay?
Okay, as we left off last week, we just come off the mountain and we're rolling toward Chicago right now. I was talking at the beginning of the show, but the Stockton and Richmond only have one part that's CTC. It's dispatch controlled. That's Port Chicago, and that is where there's a crossover between the Southern Pacific, now Union Pacific, and the Santa Fe, and that's where Amtrak would cross over to the different railroads. It used to be a hand throw crossover. Now it's a control point of Port Chicago. So you generally get a track warrant from Richmond to Port by the dispatcher, and then she would give you, or he would give you, a track warrant past that. But at this point, we were coming up to Port, and that signal going there by there is a new signal to target out. Now, can you pause this for a second, Claude? Pause that right now. Okay, if you notice right at the, okay, you got that that searchlight signal right there. There used to be a Y that extended. Now it's kind of a marsh area, but you can barely see where the east leg of the Y was coming in between this signal and the overpass. And that's the old Y where they would turn the steam locomotives for helpers going over the hill between here and Richmond. And the overpass is the old Sacramento Northern. It was now the UP, but to the left is Port Chicago, where they would load munitions. And back in, I think it was in the 40s, they had a munitions ship in Port Chicago blow up. And it blew up the entire town of Port Chicago. But to the right is the munitions dump for the U.S. Navy. So anyway, go ahead and go.
Quick question, Steve. Is this going eastbound or westbound?
This is eastbound.
Okay.
And
But we're not in Chicago.
No, not Chicago, Port Chicago. And you'll see a little bit down the main line. You'll have the Santa Fe on one side, the UP, which it was SP at this point, but the UP and then the Sacramento Northern. You have three main lines paralleling each other. The Sacramento Northern used to be electrified years ago, but this is a small yard, Port Chicago, and these box cars to the right, these are empty, but a lot of times munitions would come in. We'd bring basically bombs in, Class A explosives. So Steve's bringing the train to a stop right now because we're meeting Amtrak. The Amtrak is eastbound, and we'll make a crossover here and go back over to the UP, and then head down towards Oakland via the San Joaquin Strait Delta. It's called the Cal P line, if anybody wants to look it up. But again, for anybody that missed it, our train is about a mile long, and we had four big locomotives on it.
Sorry.
Was your train a stack train, Steve?
No, it was just UFC, container.
Oh, okay. All right. I guess that's earlier than the stacks. So
Yeah, the stacks were there, but this wasn't. We had specific stack trains.
right. Okay.
Now this crossover to the left that used to be a hand throw. Amtrak would stop there, and the rear brakeman would get out and do the switches.
So you say from here on is yard limits?
No, actually, between here and Port Chicago or Pittsburgh, we hit yard limits at Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay.
Look at those old engines.
That was your typical Amtrak Valley Amtrak San Joaquin. Okay, now we're getting a track warrant here.
Now, a track warrant is just a permission to occupy a certain area of track.
Correct.
Quick, go now. There's a truck. Oh, you missed him. That was extra points. He was a double trailer.
Look at all those gate crashers.
Okay, now while you guys were talking track warrant, but basically what she said is she gave us a track warrant from Port Chicago to Stockton.
Is there a time frame associated with the track warrant?
No, it's just an authority to either hold the main track, clear the main track, and basically it's very simple. It's a very simple dispatch. You check boxes.
Yeah.
Like this one was checked. I think it was checked box 1, proceed from Port Chicago to Stockton. I think.
So the warrant only expires once you clear the area?
Yeah, you have to clear your track warrant.
All right.
And there's been times where the conductor would get called at the hotel and say, "You ever clear X track warrant?"
Yeah. So is all this industry still there?
No,
Oh.
a lot of stuff's all gone.
Oh man! Wow.
It looks so different now. All this track is gone.
Oh man.
As a matter of fact, it's TC. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, CTC all the way from Stockton to Port Chicago now, and it's double main
Oh
line.
really? Wow.
It's all double track through here now.
Hmm.
Tell you, Steve, it's fun looking at your video, especially to look at the the ballast and how the track looks. It's perfect for giving tips for us modelers.
Yeah.
Well, the Sateriale had a very unique pink ballast. I think they quarried it in New Mexico somewhere, and it was pink.
Yeah.
Yeah, pink granite, I bet.
Yeah, I don't know, but it was pink.
Well, it's like the Rio Grande. Theirs was kind of had that rusty red hue to it, and it was that color granite.
Yeah. Now this is what you're climbing a 1% grade right now, and it's going to make a sweeping S curve over the UP main line. Now to the right of this is the Sacramento Northern track. You can barely see. You probably can't even see it. But to the left is the UP, and this is called Nichols Curve, and it was 45 miles an hour through here. That was the sign right there is your speed limit. And so what I was telling Steve, my trainee, is we're climbing out of here, but he would balance the train on the top of the grade at a point where he could accelerate out of the curve and not have any slack action. He would be having the train stretched. So like he would crest this hill about, maybe 38, 39 miles an hour. And by the time you could see the rear car coming around the top of the grade, and then you would accelerate out of that. And that would get us up to track speed through Pittsburgh at 70, but there's a 60 mile an hour curve. We'll get up to that. But you can see the Sacramento Northern track to the right there. Mm-hmm. That used to be an electric, basically streetcar.
Right.
See that industry over there.
Now this is kind of weird. You could model this. This is a grade crossing and also an overpass over
That's
another.
cool.
It's kind of weird looking. If you modeled, now that's the San Pablo, San Joaquin Delta to the left over there.
What is this, Northern California?
Yeah, I guess
Central California.
Yes, this is between San Francisco and Sacramento, basically. Now we're going downhill at this point, but the train's balanced on the uphill and downhill side.
I noticed that green flag. Was that the end of the curve? Was that your pick up speed? Okay.
Yeah, as soon as the rear end goes by that, then you can pick it up to track speed.
Right.
Which through here was 70.
How do you know your rear end goes by?
What's that?
How do you know when your rear end goes by?
Well, here it was really easy because you can see out the right-hand side of the train. You can see the train coming around the curve. Back in the caboose days, the rear end crew would tell you you're by the green board.
So you'd hang out the window.
Yeah, or just look out the rear window.
Yeah, okay, right, yeah.
Now that track to the right, the UP Cal P line, and you'll see an SP local going the other way here a little bit. It had a Jeep 9 and I don't know about 10 cars or something. But this is all downhill, but you'd be accelerating anyway because you're trying to get up to track speed. Unless you've got color. Now, if you've got color right now, anything other than a green, you would see that way down there. That would be the approach signal for the Pittsburgh siding. So if you had color right now, you'd be grabbing your air trying to get down to yard limit speed.
What was that sign with the S on the left? Signal?
That's the The S means that there's a siding in a mile.
Right.
Oh,
Now that sign right there, there's a measured out mile marker that you could check your speedometer. You know, you get, because the speedometers were very seldom accurate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once in a while, you'd be lucky and you get one that was right.
so what are you telling me? You had to do math?
Yeah.
Mhm.
What the heck, man?
Bro,
You got your stopwatch out and you clicked off your mile and you look at the table on the back of the time and find out how your speed was.
It's too much work.
It was fun work.
Yeah, it was. Used to be.
Used to be fun. We got the railroad when it was fun, but now this sign right here, I think is the mile marker for checking your speed. I think it's hard to tell, but I think it is.
A lot of little private crossings.
Lots of them.
Do you have to blow for them?
Yeah. Well, the cross you're supposed to, but the privates we.
So here comes that logo.
Yeah, there's the local.
That's sweet. That's a nice local.
Mhm.
Now we very seldom got up to track speed in this video. We did, but not very often.
And why is that?
Well, because we were in yard limit coming up here, and we were following the UP steel train. And if you get color in yard limits, now like I was telling Dave that this is kind of a unique area because the track speed is 70 miles an hour, but it's also yard limits because we have 4 Pittsburgh Antioch road switchers that worked in here, and they would always be out working, giving you color. So the way yard limits would work is when you saw anything other than a green in yard limits, you immediately had to reduce to restricted speed, which was the speed that would be 20 miles an hour, basically able to stop your train in front of anything within half the range of vision. That's not quoting it correctly, but basically that's it. And we're at yard limits right now. And this train right now was a train that died on the law. It went from Richmond to here in 12 hours. This is as far as it got in 12 hours. Now, this was a really bad
What
area.
does died on the line mean?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you in a second. But this area right now in Pittsburgh is really bad for transients, and it was really common to be coming through here and hit somebody because they're always crossing over these cars. You've got all the cars for the Pittsburgh Antioch road switchers, the Pittsburgh Depot coming up here, and going through here was very common to have somebody jump out between the cars, and you cream them. But now the 60-mile-an-hour curve is coming up right now. The Pittsburgh Depot is on the left-hand side. And to answer Dennis's question, dying on the law, you have an hours of service law. You're only allowed to work 12 hours. After 12 hours, you federally were dead. You could not move. You know, wherever your train was at the 12-hour mark, that's where it stopped. And so they'd always get
power on the side there.
So
Is
they'd
that a
always
train?
get hiding before you died on the law. Now this area right here to the left, that is the Pittsburgh steel plant. That's where the steel train would deliver big coils of steel. And I understand now it's closing. But all this track is gone now. And we're just getting color right now. You can't hear it on the radio, but we just got a yellow. So Steve's grabbing the air right now, getting this thing down to 20 miles an hour.
Was your conductor's name Steve too?
No, my conductor was Bobby Bell.
Ah,
Super nice guy. I'm still friends with him. Still keep in touch with him. And Steve, my buddy Steve, he's right now #1 in seniority, and he's retiring this year. So don't I feel old?
Yeah.
some old cool cotton belt cars.
Oh yeah. So we're trying to get this thing down. As soon as you got a yellow, you could have a red past the yellow. So you got to get this thing down real fast.
What's your engine number? X3, just one by Pittsburgh.
Hey, Steve, what year again was this video when you took it?
It was April Fool's Day, 1992.
92?
92,
It's been a long time ago.
April 1st.
Back when we could still railroad.
Yeah.
And somebody asked what power you were using again.
The lead unit was an SD40-2 or an SD45-2. Now that track going to the right there, the first one, not this one, but the first one, it's called Pittsburgh Wire Rope, and it's where they would make steel cable. And there's a derail there. I actually have that derail up in my attic.
Oh, cool.
Why
I
is it-
stopped this because this is good modeling stuff right here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
On a small scale, you've got your lines that come off that are no longer used, and those make very interesting modeling points on the layout.
That's a good idea too.
And all the different colors of ballast too. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah. Mainline track, nice and clean. Dark ties, sidings, not so much.
Yep.
but it says that you got to have all the same color ballast on your model railroad is not true.
Right.
Nope.
No, but even with ballast, you can weather your ballast to give it different shades and looks.
Mm-hmm.
Now these Pittsburgh Antioch road switchers were really fun to watch because you had regular conductors and brakemen on them that had been there for years and 12-hour jobs, but you never worked 12 hours. You maybe work 2 or 3, and then you go home and get paid for 12. It was really nice. Now, these cars coming up here, these are all chlorine. This plant to the left was all chlorine. It was always exciting switching this one. It smelled like bleach.
That was a sharp radius spur.
Yes, it was.
Must have been in-scale.
Yeah.
You're still running at yard limit speed or track speed, or restricted speed.
We're at restricted speed right now.
Yeah. So coming around a corner, that was a blind curve.
So yeah,
There could have been something out here, and so you had to be able to stop short of that. That's why they're going so slow, I think.
Yeah, because you got a mile-long train and you could only see 10 car lengths. You got to be able to stop in 5.
Right.
But now, right now, we can see ahead past the crossing. It's clear. We got a green signal, but we're still in yard limit.
Right.
So by rule, we can't resume speed until the head end of the train is past that green signal, and then we can take it back up to track speed because we're still working on yard limits.
Is this line still there?
Yeah, it's all double track now, though. It's all CTC double main line and no industries. The industries are all.
Wow.
And now they're going through their much quicker pace.
We're still under 20 though.
No, I mean nowadays with the double line and
Oh yeah.
all that.
Yeah, TCT and all that stuff. You
No, and
probably
everything's stacked trains. There's
Yeah.
no industry. It's all
So what?
containers.
These are containers going to the port.
No, Port Chicago's all gone. I mean, there's nothing there but the crossover.
So where are these containers going to? LA?
Well, this train doesn't have containers. This has truck trailers and a few containers, but they're not double stacks.
No, I mean now. I mean now.
Well, this was a 951 train, so this was a Chicago train. This was going to Chicago because 9 is Richmond and 1 Chicago, and the middle number, the 951, the 5 designated basically the priority of the train.
So a 921 was pretty high priority train. Huh?
No, the 991.
Or 991? Okay.
Yeah, we had probably the lowest one was 928, and 8 was Southern California. 2 meant the whole everywhere.
Okay.
You got called for a 928. You weren't going to make it to Fresno likely, and if you did, it was going to be 12 hours. Easy.
Right.
991, that was hot. 3.5 hours, you're tied up. I mean, that was 70 miles an hour, and you're gone. See, we got a green signal right now. We're going to boogie. That yellow 60 sign, that is for the crossing up here in Antioch. Now, I'll show you up here. There's 2 crossings through Antioch, and the second crossing, actually 3 months after I took this video, I hit a kid at this crossing, and it was really sad. I took his arm leg off. He was a special needs boy. He was 15, and he was with his best friend. They were going to go down to the marina. I heard the story later on after time had passed, that he was following around his best friend and all the time. They were like, super good friends. And anyway, his friend crossed this crossing and realized there was a train coming. He turned around and tried to get this boy to stop, and he didn't. And he came right across the pedestrian crossing, and we hit him at 60 miles an hour.
Oh, man.
And it was not fun. I'll show you the crossing, but yeah, we had a short train, and as soon as I put it in emergency, we stopped. Okay, we're coming up on the crossing. Not this crossing right here, but this next one is a pedestrian crossing, and he came right down these steps right here is where we hit him. I plugged the train, and we stopped just before going over this trestle right here that goes over this slough. And my conductor bailed off the head end, and he went, because that's what they got to do. They're the first responders. So he runs down the steps and goes back. Now there's a little jog right here. And the reason for that little S curve is because they replaced that trestle. And so they built the new one to the side of it. And got it completed. They had to do this little S curve because there's another little road crossing right there. So that's why there's an S curve. But anyway, yeah, that was not a fun night right there. Now, this is Sando. And again, these tracks are all gone. This was another area that we met trains pretty frequently. The guy coming on this this train right now. Still friends with him. His name's Jorn Bauermeister, and the conductor's Dave Williams. Two good friends of mine still. A lot of power on this one. And so you got truck trailers and containers. We had the stacks weren't real common on specific trains. You had them, but you know, at this point in time, they were basically just TOFC.
Right.
Now this is a good thing you could model. The signal on the east end of this siding is really tall. And that's so when you're going around this curve, you could see the signal over the top of the cars in the yard. But see how tall that is?
That's pretty cool. You don't see that talked about.
And this is Antioch.
Yeah, I can believe that, Sparky. I would be one of those. Because I wouldn't want to have to go through that.
Well, I'm fortunate because I never did hit anybody in a pedestrian, but
I hit more than I care to remember.
yeah. I've come close to hitting a school bus.
Oh, that's no fun.
No, that's not fun at all. I was firing for a guy. We were going up the Cody branch, coming into Powell one winter, and fellow with a pickup truck. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Steve.
White thing right here. That's an old drive-in theater.
Cool.
They used to have movies there. And I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's all right. But a guy with a pickup pulling a propane trailer. He pulled up to the crossing and basically stopped, and then the propane sloshed and shoved him out on the track.
Supposed to have a baffle.
Yeah, and he opened the door and just rolled out onto the concrete, and the knuckle hit right in the door.
Jeez.
And the trailer swung around and hit right underneath the cab window. All it did was open the valve on top of the little trailer, and it busted our speedometer cable, and that was basically all that happened. But I thought I was done.
Oh yeah, definitely. Now this is the only time that we actually made 70.
Cool.
I think right now, Steve was clocking off the mile. We were checking the speedometer. So I know we were doing track speed at this point.
Uh-huh. I think the fastest I ever ran a train was 65. And that was totally illegal, but
well, we had a test 199, and we were authorized to go 79 on it. And we had old GP, the 100 class at road crap. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Talk about pucker factor.
Oh boy. Well, they didn't ride all that great, did they?
No, they rode horrible.
Yeah.
9? Oh man. That's scary. That was scary.
Mm-hmm.
Now this siding coming up now. This is Oakley. Very small little siding. They used to meet trains here, but that was years and years ago.
In other words, a short siding.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, because back in the train order days, you had to, really judge where you were going to have to be able to clear the main line. So there were little sidings everywhere.
Right.
Now, Claude, when we're coming up, not right now, but the next siding is going to be Knights, and I'm going to have you posit it at the east end. I want to explain something. You don't have to do it right now. But, okay, you're going to see something else you could model. It's a high and wide detector that straddles the main line. It's going to look for wide loads, hot boxes and things.
Is that it coming up?
I believe so. Yeah. Yeah.
So you're talking a wide load detector.
This right here?
Okay.
This right here?
Yeah. Yeah, you'll see that it goes over the main line, and it's got photo eyes that would detect anything that's wider or higher than it should be.
Okay. So if you had a load that was kind of skewing off to the one side, it would warn you.
Yeah, shifted load somewhere. And the reason why, because we're coming up to the Sacramento Delta, and there are 2 drawbridges that would take out the bridge.
Right.
Well, that wouldn't be fun.
No. Well, you're going to see it here. It's Orwood. You'll see it up here in a little bit. You see, right now we're still following that steel train, and we got a yellow, so now we're getting down to 40 miles an hour.
Now this isn't still yard limits, is it?
No.
Okay.
So that's why we get down to 40 and not restricted.
Yeah.
This is all ABS territory, and you would get 2 yellows and then a red. You very seldom ever got a green, a yellow, and then a red, but you had to assume that the next one was good.
Yeah.
It would happen, but it was very, very rare.
Mm-hmm.
Did the USA ever have 5-point turnwise? No, I don't. Not here. Not around my. I know what you're
I've never
talking.
seen one here, but
Yeah.
I don't recall ever seeing anything like that.
Now,
Pat Valley says he thinks he's seen pictures of at least one 5-point turn.
Now this sighting is nights, and it was pretty common to meet trains here. This was the longest sight between Stockton and Richmond. Now, back in '91, a year before I shot this video, let me back up. They're doing renovation work on the Orwood Viaduct that goes over the Delta. So they would have a work window where they would shut down railroad traffic so they could get a work window. I was called for a 948 train. It was but we were stopped at the east end of this siding on the main line, waiting for all the west trains to clear before the dispatcher let us go. So when we get to the end of this siding, Claude, I want you to pause the video because I want to show something.
You say when?
Well, keep going. You're fine. But it's just at the end of the siding, we're gonna stop it, and I want to show a picture that I've got because we were stopped, and I remember talking to a group of railmen that were taking pictures, and it turned. I don't know if anybody has ever heard of Steve Schmolenberg. He passed away a few years ago, but he's a pretty well-known rail fan photographer. And some of you may have heard of him. But anyway, I saw a picture on Facebook once, and I said, "Man, that looks really familiar." And turns out he had taken a picture of my train that we were stopped with, and I've got this picture. I'm going to show you where this was taken. This is a long sighting.
Yeah.
I believe it's 8,000 feet.
That would have been my guess. Is probably 8,000.
Yeah, because you could put 2 trains in here.
Right.
Okay, go a little bit further. Stop right before the block signal. Okay, right there. Stop. Okay. Now, we were stopped right here waiting for a parade of West trains, and there was a car parked at the crossing and some guys taking pictures, and I was talking with them, and the last train went by, and I was leaning out talking with the guys we were going. Okay, Claude, go back to me for a minute. I'm going to show you this picture. Okay. Let me see that. Okay. That's right there.
Cool.
And this was in I believe it was June of 1991. This was the picture that Steve took of that train. And right here, the guy is leaning up. I'm leaning out talking to the guy, and as we were leaving. And this right here, you can see the red hat. And that guy's name is Chuck Whittington. And he's better known as Pussyface.
As what?
Face.
I won't get into why his nickname.
Oh my goodness. No, I don't think we need to.
Anyway, you can go back to the video, Claude. But yeah, Steve took that picture, and I saw it, and I said, he said, yeah, I'll send you a copy of it. So he signed the back of it, and
Cool.
So that's kind of cool. But anyway, that's nice. And go back to the video and get off of me.
Hang on here. Do that and then go back here.
Because the Orwood Bridge, it used to be an old timber trestle, and they were taking sections of it. This was probably a 6 or 8 year process of turning it into a concrete trestle, and it took forever. Constant 10-mile-an-hour slow order over the Orwood Bridge. Now, Barbara, she was the worst dispatcher that had to have been. She was horrible. Just her voice. She sounded like a crotchety old lady. And it was one of those voices that you listen to and it breaks on you.
Steve knows all about those, too.
I do. Yeah.
A very grating voice.
A grating voice. Yeah.
Yeah, we had some clerks that were that way, and
Now this curve is Bixler. It's also a short little siding, but on the left side now, they filled this in, and it's all double main line. This is a 60-mile-an-hour curve now. Double main line.
I'm gonna jump ahead just a little bit on this so we catch back up with our time.
Oh, okay. Now, all we did, we just went around that curve and coming up to the Orwood Bridge. This is, I lied because this is the second control point, but it's not dispatcher control. This is controlled by the Orwood operator. And he's the guy that controlled the drawbridge.
okay.
And so the east signal is control. You can't control the turnouts. No, wait a minute.
I got a question. All the telegraph poles along the side here,
Yeah,
do they put them on a slant like that on purpose, or is that just from over time?
that's just over time.
Because they're pretty uniform.
Well,
Yeah, they are.
this is all peat marsh. This is the Sacramento Delta.
Yeah.
The whole ground is very unstable. But that switch right there is a hand throw switch. That's a spring switch. The east turnout up here at the Orwood bridge, that is a controlled turnout. The Orwood operator can operate that switch. And he would, so if you had to go to Orwood, say you had a track warrant and you were going from Stockton to Richmond the other way, and you had a track warrant to clear the main at Orwood, the dispatcher couldn't control that, but this Orwood operator would have to line because this is a tip up drawbridge. That a big counterweight. Now, to the left, this thing sitting in the siding, that's a pile driver.
Or say it looked like some maintenance away stuff.
It is these because they were working on this. That's the pile driver that they would bring out and drive these piles in for the new trestle.
Now, was there a 10-mile-an-hour slow order?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole bridge was 10 miles an hour at that point. It took forever.
Yeah.
But in the summertime, it was great because this was a prima water skiing area because you had delta on both sides of the track, two bridges on both sides of this area. You had this bridge and one at the other end, and the ski boats would spin in circles around, and you would get flashed by ladies every summer.
Cool.
It was interesting. Now
I'm not messing anybody up by jumping through here, but
this like I said, this drawbridge was able to open. The bridge at the other end used to, but they closed it down way before I hired on, and it's basically welded closed. You can't raise that one. But this is a good place. It's summertime, cruise along here and watch the water skiers, and it was a good time. If you had to go take a leak, you just go out the side of the engine and pee off the side of the engine.
yeah, just pee up on those wires here.
Yeah.
Now,
Steve, I got a question. Just kind of came to mind as you were talking about doing a whiz off the side. When you're, business calls and you've got to go, is there a holding tank on an engine, or is it just kind of go right on down to the ground for everything?
It used to go right down on the ground, but now they've got tanks that hold it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now this is all filled. This before the railroad was ever here, this was all markland. So this was all filled for the railroad.
Well,
and like I said, it's all peat moss and mud and very unstable.
Yeah, that whole San Joaquin Valley area, Central California, was all an inland sea at one time.
Exactly. And these are all Delta levees. They're all made, and they were made by the Army Corps of Engineers way back in probably the 20s.
Oh, wow.
And the technology they made then wasn't that great. So they're constantly working on these levee deltas in the Sacramento, Stockton area. It's quite an interesting story. And they frequently break and flood. And
Now, are you on a trestle?
yeah, this is they're replacing it with concrete. You see all the riprap on the right side there. That's all old trestle material that's been dumped there.
Uh-huh.
Cool.
And supposedly they were supposed to haul that away. The EPA was all fining them because it's all creosote and toxic and leaking into the delta.
Right.
I don't think they ever did. At some point they did, but you can see at the end of the concrete, where we're traveling over right now has all been replaced. It's all concrete pilings and everything, but right at the end, it's all very shaky temporary timber trestles that they're working on. And man, it was gnarly going over these because it was just, tipping and rocking and nothing on the sides.
Yeah, you can see that.
And you could actually feel it.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
It was like, God, I hope it doesn't fall in.
And is that why your speed is so reduced?
Yeah, that's why we're doing 10 miles an hour. And you can see the old trestle up here now. That's they just did a section at the time. And that's Mormon Yard. He's talking to Bobby Bill, my conductor.
All the way over 44.
And that's all the new material that the pilings and things that we're going to be driving in. But like I said, you can see the water on both sides. This was
What a terrible place to build a railroad.
Oh yeah, really.
Yeah,
What
I
a
thought
fun-
the mountains were bad, but I don't know if I'd want to work in a swamp.
Yeah. What a fun place to have a air hose or something going.
Oh yeah.
Is there any grade here at all, or is it all fairly well flat?
It's all flat, very flat.
Yeah, I bet Santa Fe much rather build up in the desert in Southern California than building this.
And the history at the end of the trestle up here where the other drawbridge is, I don't know how many people have seen the movie Cool Hand Luke, but the scene where Paul Newman is jumping off the railroad trestle was filmed right there.
Now, is this double track or is this single?
It's all single track, but it's 60 miles an hour now.
Whoa, far out.
It's still kind of a BNSF bottleneck. They're talking about a second trestle.
Uh-huh.
How we doing?
We got 6 minutes.
Well, how about on the video? Because I know we're cutting.
On the video, let's see, we have about 8 minutes, 9 minutes.
Okay, well, fast forward 2 minutes because this is all kind of go all the way up to the bridge. Okay. Now, right here, you'll be able to the left see where they used to be the old tower for the operator on this end of the bridge. But this end is all welded closed. Doesn't open anymore.
Yeah, you see there's no gap in the rail.
No, it's all welded.
I remember seeing that when I first watched this, and I thought it was kind of strange you couldn't see a gap in the rail there.
Yeah. Now, this sighting right now is Trull, and this is as far as we get. We get halfway through this sighting, but you'll see to the right a big, long, basically an aqueduct pipe. And I don't know if anybody's familiar with the Bay Area water, but there's something called East Bay Mud, which is, it stands for the East Bay Municipal Utilities District. And they've got the best water in California. And the reason why is because it's all pumped via this aqueduct. It's called the California Aqueduct. And it pumps water from the Hitch Hitchy Reservoir in the Sierra Nevadas all the way to the East Bay of San Francisco area. And that they have, that's what this big old pipe is up here. Now that siding going down there to the left, that was the Spuds. They used to load potatoes there, and it's, you know, it's probably a 8% grade going down off there.
Wow.
Oh, actually, the pipe was back further. We fast forwarded. Never mind. Anyway, that pipe is way past there. But yeah, actually the video is going to end here probably halfway through the sighting. They see all that.
In that case, we're going to go ahead and stop right here.
Well, okay, see that? Okay, if you look right to the left, you'll see all that rock right there. That's remnants of the Santa Fe's attempt to save the main line back in, I believe it was, because I was in the training program, so that had to have been 1980. They had a levee break, and this whole area to the left side of the main line flooded. And there was water all the way up to where that rock is. And the only thing that was keeping the water from going the other side was the main line of the railroad, which was not designed as a levee. So it was, they spent a lot of time dumping rock to try to save the main line up here. And it worked for a while. Actually, I've got some pictures I can show next week, because I was going the training program through here, and it was flooded. It was a lake on one side and dry on the other side. And there was a 928 train that was going over the track here a little bit further down the next siding, which we don't have a video of. But the main line gave way, and they had 3 locomotives and a full train, and the train went into emergency, and the rear brakeman walked back and realized that the track had given way and was flooding. The rear unit was already sinking into the abyss, and he cut between the second and third locomotive. All the and Dave would understand this, but all he did was turn the angle cocks between the locomotives, pulled the pin. He didn't even get the chains off between, and they separated. They left that locomotive there. And I take that back. No, they did that with the first unit. They cut off the lead unit and left the 2 rear units sinking in the mud, and barely got off there when the whole train went in the abyss. And they were able to recover one of the locomotives, what was left of it. The third one is still there. They never did find it. Well, that's what they said, but I heard later on that wasn't true. But yeah, that locomotive is still there though, with a full tank.
Dave, Steve, can you guys answer that question?
What? Any engineers that are retired, could you request to ride in the cab now? No. They'll
No.
fire. They'll, I suppose they might still do it, but they really frown on stuff now.
Yeah.
I mean, they did
Well,
when we were in there, but now it
now,
probably
they've got cameras inside and outside of the
Yeah.
cab, and
I was
you
just gonna
can't get by with anything.
That's why it's no fun anymore.
Right? Yeah.
yeah. Buses too.
Well, that's our time, guys.
It's a good show. Good.
Steve.
Great video.
Yeah.
Bill, great to have you back.
Yeah.
And,
It's been a while.
yeah, seems like it. Excuse me. Anyway, Dennis and Jerry and Dave, thanks for coming back on. And Steve.
Thank you.
And everybody in chat, we'll see you next week. We'll be back next week with something. Not sure what, but we'll be back next week.
Have a good week.
See you then.
Later, guys.
Take care, all.
Have a good one.
Later.